The steam from Elara's thermos curled into the blue-black dawn like a question mark 2 for 17 a.m. Her fingers, already memorizing the weight of the day ahead, wrapped around the ceramic warmth. Outside her truck window, the world was a study in monochrome. Spruce trees, etched in frost, the gravel road ahead, a ribbon of crushed pearl under headlights. She breathed one steep feeling, the cold air sharp in her lungs. This was a quiet hour before the work began, when the only sound was the soft click hiss of her Zippo lighter catching the wick of the dashboard candle she kept burning all winter. Not for a light! For proof that something small and human could hold back the dark. By 5:03 a.m., she was sorting in the dim glow of the Tanana post office, her hands moving with a rhythm learned over 11 winters. The mail wasn't just paper and parcels, it was texture. Birthday cards with lumpy handmade envelopes. Prescription bottles, rattling softly in padded mailers. The crisp thwip of magazines sliding into slots. Her fingers knew which package belonged to Old Man Hemlock before she even read the address. He ordered the same arthritis cream every 28 days. Like clockwork, she tucked it into box 47 with the care of someone placing a fragile bird back in its nest. This was the first lesson the road had taught her. Delivery wasn't about moving objects. It was about moving care. Her route began with a paved road, ended 23 miles of gravel, ice, an intention winding through the boreal forest toward the handful of homes clinging to the Tanana River's edge. The first mailbox stood at mile 3.2, a dented blue metal box mounted on a post wrapped in reflective tape. She stopped without braking, just easing her foot off the accelerator until the truck coasted to a silent halt. Muscle memory? Conservation. Every unnecessary motion wasted heat, and heat was currency out here. As she slid the day's letters through the slot, she paused. Taped inside the door was a child's drawing, a lopsided sun over a snowman, with "Thanks, mail lady," scrawled beneath in purple crayon. She smiled. Last week, she'd mentioned to the mother that her daughter's letters to Santa had made it onto the Christmas flight. Small talk. But out here, small talk was lifeline talk. The disruption came just past mile 12, where the road narrowed between two granite outcroppings the locals called the squeeze. Her high beams caught at firster. Young bull moose, standing broadside in the center of the lane, steam rising from his nostrils, antlers dusted with fresh snow. He didn't move. Elara eased to a stop 50 yards back, killed the headlights, and waited. 1 minute. 3. 7. The radio crackled with static no. Signaled this deep in the valley. She could turn around, add 40 minutes to her route, and risk missing the noon flight that carried outgoing mail from the community drop box at mile 19. Or she could wait. She chose to wait. This was the second lesson the road had taught her. Timing wasn't about schedules. It was about reading what the land allowed. As she sat in the humming quiet, she watched the moose's breath plume in the air. She thought of the insulin vial in box 61 Mrs. Gable's. It needed refrigeration within 2 hours of delivery. She thought of the stack of outgoing letters waiting at the Dropbox, including a college application from a boy named Liam, who dreamed of studying marine biology in Sitka. She thought of the way the river ice groaned at night, a sound like continents shifting. And she understood something quietly profound. Her work existed in the space between urgency and patience, between human need and wild indifference. The moose finally turned, stepped gracefully into the tree line, and vanished. She drove on. At mile 15, she stopped at the Gables box's sturdy wooden structure with a sloped roof to shed snow. She placed the insulated mailer inside, then did something not in the USPS manual. She knocked twice on the porch post. A signal? Your medicine is here. Through the frosted window, she saw a lamp flicker on. A shadow moved. A hand raised in thanks. No words exchanged. None needed. This was the third lesson. Trust wasn't built in grand gestures. It was built in consistency, in showing up when the world was 40 below, and the nearest neighbor was 8 miles away, in remembering that Mr. Hemlock took his mail on the left side of the box because his right shoulder ached, or that the Chun family preferred parcels placed inside their box during hunting season, so Kiri's ravens wouldn't peck at the packaging. These weren't quirks. They were contracts written with quiet attention. The final stop was the community drop boxer, repurposed ammunition crate, bolted to a spruce stump at a bend in the river. Here, the outgoing mail waited. Birthday cards headed to Anchorage. business invoices to Seattle. A thick envelope of photographs to a daughter serving overseas. Elara sorted them quickly, her gloves stiff with cold. As she lifted the last bundle, a small package slipped from beneath the crate, a priority mailer she'd missed yesterday, buried when a snow squall swept through. Her stomach tightened. It was addressed to a medical clinic in Fairbanks. She checked the timestamp. Sent 3 days ago. Not critical, but delayed. She radioed dispatch, reported the oversight, and arranged for it to catch the next bush plane. No blame, no drama, just a correction. This was the 4th lesson. Systems only worked because someone cared enough to notice the one thing out of place. The invisible architecture of reliability. Driving back toward town as the sun finally breached the eastern ridge a week. Honey-colored light that did little too warm, but everything to illumine. Elara felt the day settle into her bones.
Her hands were numb despite her Carhartt gloves.
Her back ached from hours of sitting on ice-cold vinyl. But something else hummed beneath the fatigue. A quiet alignment. She wasn't just moving mail. She was moving connection. Each envelope is a thread. Each package is a bridge. In a place where winter could isolate a family for weeks, where a storm could sever roads and silence radios, the daily arrival of that blue truck became a kind of liturgy. A reminder, you are still part of the world.
The world still reaches for you.
What does endurance look like when no one is watching? It looks like a woman in a postal truck stopping to knock on a post. It looks like waiting 7 minutes for a moose to decide it's time to move. It looks like remembering which family keeps honey jars in their box for carriers during berry season, a small sweetness offered without expectation. This work would never make headlines. No medals for perfect attendance on a route where minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit was Tuesday. But as Elara pulled into the post office lot, engine ticking in the cold, she understood something the maps would never show. The true geography of Alaska wasn't drawn in miles or rivers. It was drawn in acts of quiet faith, in the certainty that tomorrow, someone would come again. And the day after that. And the day after that? Not because it was easy, but because someone needed to know the world hadn't forgotten them. Elara's story highlights the everyday heroes who keep us connected, often in gear that stands up to impossible conditions. If you'd like to watch more fictional job stories, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.